Hi everyone, my name's Daisy. I'm an English teacher based in the UK, and I teach English in language schools and on Skype. I'm not sure if you've joined me before, but I'm usually here on a Thursday evening to talk about some grammar points or things, English customs, things we do here. Oh, hiya, thanks for joining me. Okay, so, we're here today to talk about modal verbs. As I speak, if you can't hear me properly, or if I'm speaking too quickly or too quietly, please just let me know. Just send a message and ask me to slow down, or to explain, or to speak up. Okay, so as long as, hopefully you'll be able to understand me, and I'll be clear enough. So, this evening, I was going to start by talking about the modal verbs might and may and how we use them. I'll give you a few examples and then we will go on from there. So if you have any questions about it, please just send me a message and ask me to explain something. And it doesn't have to, thanks for joining. It doesn't have to be related to what we're talking about. If you have another question that you just want answering, I will do my best to help you. Okay, so thanks for joining. We'll get started. So you've probably all heard of modal verbs and how we use them, and some have different uses, so have more than one use, so it can be quite confusing. So when we use might and may, it's often used to talk about possibility or probability, and we can use them to talk about the present and the future. Hi, you've just joined. So they can be used in the same way and have the same meaning. Some people think that using may is seen as more polite, and other people, you'll have different opinions about. Some people say they have slightly different use, but in my opinion, might and may have the same meaning, and the same may just sometimes seems a bit more polite, or a bit more formal, and I think it's more common in England to use might. Okay, so if we were using it, we just use might or may, and we use it with the bare infinitive. So just the people have different names for it. It's just the base verb. Okay, so for example, if a friend was asking me what I was doing at the weekend, I might say that I might go to the party at the weekend, which means I'm not sure. Okay, so I might go to the party, I might not. I'm not sure. I haven't made my mind up, but it's possible. Okay, and I can also say I may go to the party, but most people in England, you'll hear them speaking, they'd say I might go. Okay, so it's to talk about something. When I'm using it like that, I'm using it as a possibility for the future. So the weekend, today's Thursday. So the weekend is in the future, so I might go to the party at the weekend, or I may go to the party at the weekend. Hiya, if you've just joined, just to recap, if you have any questions, or if I'm speaking too fast or too quietly or anything, please just send messages on here and ask me to stop or repeat myself. Okay, thanks. Okay, so that would be a future. Yeah, I might go to the party on Saturday, or I may go to the party on Saturday. And you can also say might, or you can say I might not, or I may not. Okay, and it's the same. And then you can also use it in the present with the same form. So it's still with the might or may with the bare infinitive. So, hello, thanks for joining. So you could say, I don't know, if you're at the pub with your friends, and you might say, it's possible, we use it all the time. You might say, your friend's late, and you say, oh, where's Joe? And you say, oh, she might be stuck in traffic, for example. So that's talking about now. She might be stuck in traffic now. It's a possibility. You're not sure, but that's where she could be, or she may be stuck in traffic. So then we could also say she could be stuck in traffic, and it's the same. So might, may, and could, with the bare infinitive, in no sense, all mean the same thing. They all mean that this is a possibility, and it could happen, or in the future it's a probability. Okay, so now we're in the pub. Joe's late. Where is she? She might be stuck in traffic. She could be stuck in traffic. She may be stuck in traffic. It's all the same. It just means it's a possibility, but we're not sure. Are you going to the party at the weekend? I might go to the party. I may go to the party. Sometimes we might say I could go to the party. It's possible. It makes it yeah. I would normally use might. I think might is the most common form, and it's what you'll hear being used most in England. Okay, so you can also use it as a polite way of asking a question. So, but this would be with may. So you might say, may I borrow your pen, for example? And then a polite response would be, you may borrow my pen, or you may not. And this would be quite a polite and formal way of asking a question. Then you can also say, so if you have might and may, so we're talking about the future, the question about the party. So what are you doing at the party? I might go to the party. I may go to the party. These are all things that are possible. If you're a bit more sure that you are going to the party, you might say, I will probably go to the party. And that would be a bit more sure, but still not certain. I'll probably go to the party, I think, but I haven't made my mind up just yet. Have you heard? I don't know if you've heard that expression, to say to make my mind up. When you say to make your mind up, it's like to make a decision. So if you say I can't make my mind up, it means I can't decide. So somebody might say to you, are you going to the party? You say, I'll probably go to the party, but I haven't made my mind up, so I'm not certain. And so you would say, I will probably, and if you were using the negative, you'd say, I probably won't. So I will probably go to the party, or I probably won't. And if we use will, we usually contract it. So you've probably heard people doing this in English as well to make it more confusing when you're listening to them. We don't say I will probably, you'd say I'll probably, and I'll is the two words together, so I'll probably go, which means it's quite likely. And then this is slightly moving on to future tenses as well, whilst we're talking about the possibility of doing things in the future. So if you say I'll probably go to the party, I will probably go to the party, you think it's quite likely, but you're not certain. If you are certain about the party, you would say I'm going to go to the party, using going to, or going to for the future. So be going to plus the infinitive, or you could use present continuous for the future. So you can say I'm going to go to the party, which is using going to for the future, or I'm going to the party, present continuous. Normally in England, if you're certain you're doing something in the future and you've made a plan with somebody, you would use present continuous because it's easier. Rather than saying I'm going to go to the party, you just say I'm going to the party at the weekend. And as long as you're using it with the future tense, the future time, then it's clear to the listener that that is what you're doing in the future and it's a certain plan. But you can only use the present continuous when it's a certain plan, like an arrangement that you've made, like a fixed thing that you're sure about. Okay, so we've got might and may. Just to recap for those of you who just joined, might and may with the bare infinitive can be used for the future. So I might go to the party, I may go to the party on Saturday, and it can be used for the present. So you can say, Joe might be late, or where's Joe? She might be stuck in traffic, she may be stuck in traffic, and you can also use could. She could be stuck in traffic. They all mean the same thing. Okay, the only thing to remember is when we're using the negative forms, so if you say, I might not go to the party, or I may not go to the party, with could, you can't use it in that sense. You can't say I could not go to the party, because when you use it with a negative, it would make it sound like it was you could not go to the party in the past. Okay, so we don't use could not in this same sense. We only use it as could. So I might not go to the party, or I may not go to the party, but we wouldn't say I could not go to the party, because that would then mean that you could not go to the party in the past, when could is the past of can. Okay, so that's something to remember. Don't use could not in the negative form. So don't use could not, sorry, that is negative. Don't use could not when you're talking about probability, possibility for present or future. You can only use it in the positive form as could. Okay. And also it can be confused as well. So if we say, like if you make a suggestion to somebody using could, so I don't know, what should we do tonight? We could go to the cinema. It's a possibility. We could go to the cinema, and you're using it like a suggestion almost as well, suggesting that this is a possibility of something that we could do. And then could, you have to be careful, because when you're listening to people, obviously when you're speaking you will know what you mean, but when you're listening to people, you can also be used as could in the past as ability. So I can run fast now. I could run fast when I was younger. Okay, so if you're talking about something you could do in the past for ability, it can be confusing. So just be aware that we can use it for possibility or probability now, in the present and the future, but it can also be used as the past of can, talking about past ability. Okay, so you have to be a little bit careful. Okay, does anyone have any questions, things they would like to ask before I move on? Just give you a few seconds, because I know I go through these things quite quickly, and I don't want people to be thinking that they're not sure, they've missed something, or they're getting confused. No? Okay, you can ask me other questions as well. It doesn't have to be just about modal verbs. If you want to know something else, that's fine as well. It's not a problem. Okay, so that's with using might and may. You can also use might and may and could when we're talking about modals of deduction. So hopefully you've all heard of a modal of deduction. What it means is when we're thinking about something. May is slightly more formal. That's the main difference. But some people will argue otherwise, but as far as I'm concerned, we use it might and may. We use them in the same way. It's just suggesting that something is possible or probable. And may is a more formal word, and more commonly in England we would use might. Okay. Yeah, that's basically it. So when you use them with modals of deduction, you have might, may, could, must, and can't. Okay, and these are when we're trying to understand something that has happened in the past and trying to understand what has happened, and we are making a deduction. Good, perfect. We're making a deduction about what we think has happened, and we can either be unsure about it or sure about it. I'm just going to have a drink, I'm sorry. I have a cold and a funny throat, so I have to keep drinking. Yeah, so something has happened, and we're trying to decide what has happened. So, for example, let me think of a good example for you. Okay, if the window is broken in your house, when you come home, you say, oh, we might have been burgled. Somebody might have broken into your house, okay? But you don't know because you're not certain, because you don't have any evidence. You're just guessing. So when you're just guessing, you might say, somebody might have broken into the house. They may have broken into the house. They could have broken into the house, but we're not sure. So we use it with might, may, or could. You use your modal verb with have and then the past participle, so verb 3. Okay, so your modal verb, have, and then past participle. And if you're not sure about the event, you say might, may, or could. And you would say, so, okay, somebody might have tried to break into the house. There's a broken window. Or the children next door might have kicked a football and it hit the window. Okay, so there are possibilities and you're not sure which one it is. When you go into your house, you realise that nothing has been stolen and you find a football on the floor. It must have been the children playing football that broke the window, because you are certain, because you found the football. Okay, and the football is by the window, so it's obvious what has happened. Okay, so when you're certain that this thing has happened, then you use must. So if you're not sure, might, may, could, plus have, plus past participle. It might have been the children next door. It might have been a burglar. It may have been, it might have been, it could have been. Okay? When you're certain that this thing is true, it must have been the children playing football, because here is the football and here is the broken window. The evidence is there, it's clear. Alright? So when we're certain, we use must. If you're certain that something can't have happened, I don't know another way to use it, you say can't. So you're certain something isn't true or isn't correct, we use can't. So you can't say, so you'd say, it must have been the football, it can't have been a burglar. So the football is here, the children were playing football, they've broken my window, it must have been the children, I found the football, the window is broken, it can't have been a burglar because nothing has been stolen. Okay, so these are ways of saying if we are sure or unsure if something has or hasn't happened in the past. Okay, it's very confusing or difficult to say. So, has everyone heard of these before? Are these things that you have learnt before? Does anyone have any questions? No? So I will just pop the... Oh, sorry. I'm just going to type it up for you so that you have the structure. That makes it easier for you to see. Sorry. Some people just say verb 3. Some people say past participle. Past participle is the third verb. Okay. So we use might and may and could when we are not certain. And we use must if we are certain that something is true, and we use can't if we're certain that something isn't true. Oh, sorry, I'm very slow at typing. So, does anyone have any questions whilst I'm slowly typing this up? Does anyone have any questions? Do you have any questions about modal verbs, other grammar questions, or questions about England? No? What's the weather like in Russia today? It's really cold in England. It's Yeah, it's not freezing actually, but it's a very cold wind. But it's probably not as cold as it is in Russia. I'd imagine. It's very cold. Right, okay, sorry about this. I just want to make sure you've all got it there, so you know. Okay. So we use them in that way, so that they... Get rid of that. So might and may and could plus have plus past participle means that you're not sure, but it's possible that this could have happened. And if it must have happened, means you're certain, or it can't have happened, means you're certain it's not true. Okay? All right. So that's another way of using your modal verbs. Then we have. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving on. So if anyone's confused or it's too quick, just tell me to stop and go back over what we've just done, because I'm quite happy to do that and explain it all again. It's not a problem, because I know some people come in late, and some people have gone. So if you want me to go back over things, I'm happy to do that. Okay, otherwise I'll just keep going on and on. I'm afraid. Okay, so you can also use your modals of obligation, what we say. So if you say like that you must do something. So have you heard when we say you must and you have to? So if you are going to another country, for example, you must or you have to have your passport, for example. You have no choice. So when we use must and have to in this way, it's like something you have no choice about. You're obliged to do it. Okay? So when you go to another country, you must and you have to carry your passport. When you're driving your car, you must abide by the laws, and you must keep within the speed limits. And must and have to both mean that you have no choice. Some people say that they think must is stronger than have to. Excuse me for a second. So must and have to mean the same. If we're talking in the past, must doesn't have a past, so we say we had to. So when I went to school, I had to wear a uniform. I didn't have a choice. So when must goes to the past, something in the past that you had no choice about, it turns to had to, and we don't have a past for that version. Okay? If we say you don't have to, in the negative form, so if you say you must or you mustn't, that means it's something with no choice. You must abide by the speed limit when you drive your car. You mustn't go too fast. And you say you have to abide by the speed limit, but if you say you don't have to, that's a different meaning. Okay, so must and mustn't and then have to. But if you say you don't have to do something, that means it's then your choice. Okay, so that can be quite confusing. So you have to abide by the speed limit is a certainty, and it's like must, like you have no choice. If you said, okay, when you are 16 in England, you don't have to go to school. You can go to college. It's your choice. Okay, or when you go to the sixth form in England, you don't have to wear a school uniform. When you are aged between 5 and 16, you have to or you must wear the school uniform in most schools. But when you are older, when you are 17 and 18, you don't have to wear a school uniform. Okay, so when it's talking about something that's your choice, you say you don't have to. But if you're saying you have to, then it's no choice. Okay, so that can be quite confusing as well. Lots of English things are quite confusing, aren't they? Okay. And if you say, when you say like again, if you say that you can't do something, we say you can't, in England, you can't smoke in the pubs. We say you can't smoke in pubs in England, it's not allowed. So you mustn't smoke in pubs, it's not allowed. So, again, can't can be used in this way as well. And can't can be confusing because, again, can't talks about ability, and then it's used as in things that you are allowed to do as well. So, for example, if I say, I can't skateboard, I'm trying to think, I can't skateboard, that's about ability. But in England, you can't smoke in the pubs. It would mean you're not allowed to, so you mustn't smoke in the pubs. You have to go outside. You must go outside if you want to smoke in England. Is that the same law in Russia? I don't know if it's all over the world. I know most countries nowadays you're not allowed to smoke in pubs or in public areas. Is it the same in Russia? You're all very quiet this evening. I know, modal verbs, they've probably sent you to sleep. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to type this up as well so you have it. So we can use must and have to is for obligation, so something that you have no choice. I'll put no choice, it's easier, isn't it? So has anyone got any questions? Must and have to is no choice. And also must not with no choice. No one's told me what the weather's like in Russia yet. Have you got snow yet? There was snow last week, somebody told me. Hello, welcome. Don't have to is choice. Right, okay. Sorry. If I try and talk and type, it might go all wrong. There we go. Okay. So, and we use them just with the bare infinitive again. Okay, so it's just back to the bare infinitive. And then another modal verb that we use quite a lot when we like to give advice. So everyone likes to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Oh, you haven't got any snow. Thank you for letting me know. No snow, but is it very cold? We've got it's very cold in England, and we keep getting weather warnings telling us the weather's going to be terrible. But so far where I live, we're okay. But it's cold. It's really windy, and I cycle everywhere on my bike, and I went on my bike today, and it was freezing, especially when you go downhill. It's too cold, so I need to put more clothes on. It's no good. I need to do that. Okay. Oh, need to. There's another one. You need to when you if you're talking about something you have to do. You have to take your passport with you. You need to take your passport with you. Or you've got to take your passport with you. Sorry, I was just thinking about that as I was saying it. So when you go to another country, you must take your passport. You have to take your passport. You've got to take your passport. And you need to take your passport. So you can use those as well. You've got to is quite commonly used. -7. Okay, it's not cold in England then. I think it was +7 in England today. I'm sorry, I take it back. It's not that cold in England. It's very cold in Moscow. Yeah, that's too cold for me. Do you all know the expression to take something back? Like it's a phrasal verb again. When you say something and then you realise that you were wrong or you didn't mean what you said, you say I take it back. So I take it back. It's not that cold in England. It's very cold in Moscow. Much colder than it is in England. Okay, so where was I? Should. Yes, should for advice. If hello, thanks for joining. So should for advice, people like to tell us what we should do. So it's like saying, if you're, okay, I'm cold on my bike, so I should wear more clothes. I should wear a warmer jacket. Okay. My mum likes to tell me what I should do. She likes to give me advice all the time. And I like to tell my daughter what she should do as well. So you should, with the infinitive, just to advise, tell people what you think they should be doing. So, for example, if you're learning English, you should try to watch some English TV programs. You should listen to English radio, and you should try and read some English books or magazines or newspapers, for example. This is all advice. You should do it because it will help. So we use should plus the infinitive or bare infinitive to give people advice. I will type it up. I'll say base verb, it might be easier. Different countries seem to call it different things. To give advice. So an example would be, you should wear a warm coat in the winter. It's a good idea. It's cold outside. There we go. Advice, you should wear a warm coat, it's cold. Especially if you're living in Moscow, by the sounds of it. Okay, so that's using should to give advice. But you can also use it to talk about if somebody made a mistake in the past. And this is really annoying when people do this, because if you've done something wrong, and you know you've done something wrong, and someone says, well, you know what you should have done, and you think, I know now. When we're talking about giving advice or talking about something that's already happened, and you're telling somebody what they should have done differently in the past, it's very annoying, but we all do it. For example, okay, so if I was talking about myself, and I could say, I should have studied harder when I was at school, for example. So when you think about things that you in the past and you think, maybe I should have done that differently, or I should have remembered to cover my car because if it freezes tonight, there will be ice on the windscreen. And you use it to talk about, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. When something that you didn't do in the past, and you can't change it, but you're sort of thinking you wish you had, so you're saying that you should have done it. So we use it with plus. Oh my goodness, so slow at typing. Oh, sorry. Sometimes my phone likes to choose the words for me, and it's very annoying because it tells me the wrong word, and I always agree. I let the phone choose, and then I have the wrong word. Sorry. Right. Okay. So yeah. So maybe if your friends went to a party at the weekend and you didn't go because you didn't feel like going to the party, and then you see your friends on Monday and they say, oh, you should have come to the party on Saturday, it was brilliant and you missed it, so you should have come with us. And it's to talk about so if somebody's saying that to you, they're telling you that they think you made a mistake in the past and you should have done something, or should have done something, or you shouldn't have done something. And usually if you're talking about yourself, it's usually because Maybe it's regret, that you think you should or shouldn't have done something differently. Something that you can't go back and change. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Should I just quickly do a quick recap on what I have done? Because we've covered quite a lot of things. I'm not sure. I know some people go and some people come late, so I don't want people to miss what we've been through. So I'm going to just very quickly go through what we have done. And again, stop me if you're not sure about anything. So I first started off, we talked about might and may. We said might, may and could for possibility or probability. So we were talking about if we can use it for the present. And the example I gave was that you're in the pub and your friend isn't there, and you say, oh, okay. You say, where's Jo? I don't know. She might be stuck in traffic, for example. So you're talking about now, and it's a possibility that your friend is late because she's stuck in traffic. So she might be stuck in traffic, she could be, or she may be stuck in traffic. Excuse me. We can also use it to talk about the future, and we use the same form, so the modal verb plus the bare infinitive. And if your friend says, what are you doing at the weekend? I might go to the party, I may go to the party, I could go to the party. And it means the same. May is sometimes thought as a more formal word. You can also use may to ask for something in a polite way, like may I help you? Or may I borrow your pen? It's quite a polite way of asking for something. And people can respond to that as well, like saying you may. It's like saying yes you can, but it's very polite and formal. And I also said that we can use I might or may not. So I might not go to the party, I may not go to the party. But you can't say I could not go to the party, because if you say that, we can't use could in the negative for the present or the future. Because if you said I could not go to the party, it would suggest that you missed a party in the past that you could not go to because you weren't able to. So in these ones, you just use might, may or could. And could you only use in the positive. Excuse me. Okay. Any questions? Oh, okay. And then we moved on to modals of deduction. So we said if you're talking about something that you're not sure about in the past, you have might, may, or could, plus have, plus your past participle. So it's something you're trying to understand what has happened in the past, and it might have happened, it may have happened, it could have happened, but you're not sure. And if you're certain that this thing has happened, you say it must have happened. And if you're certain it didn't happen, you say it can't have happened. And the example I gave was that you come home, you came home, and the window is broken, and at first you see the window and you say, oh, we might have been burgled. And you can say, we might have been, we could have been, we may have been burgled. And then you go into the house, so then you all say, oh, but then again, it might have been the children playing football, because they might have broken the window. When you go into the house, you find the football on the floor, and the window is broken, and you say, it must have been the children playing football that broke the window. It can't have been a burglar because nothing has been stolen. So when you're not sure, might, may or could, plus have, plus past participle. And if you're sure it's true, must have, plus past participle. Or sure that it's not true, can't have, plus past participle. This is all, if you've just joined, I have put notes as I was going along, so you've got the grammar structure as well. Excuse me. Okay. And then the last... Oh, yes, and I used obligation. Sorry, I've lost track of what I did. So we use must for something, must and have to, something that you are obliged to do and you have no choice. So if you're going to another country, you must take your passport. So must or have to plus the bare infinitive. You must take your passport. You have to take your passport. You can also say you've got to take your passport. You need to take your passport. You have no choice about this. It's important. There is, if you don't take your passport, you can't go to the other country. Okay? So then we say that must in this form, so must plus the infinitive to say something that is essential that you do, can't be used in the past form. So when my daughter goes to school, she must wear her uniform, or she has to wear her uniform. When I went to school, I had to wear my uniform. I can't put must into the past. So I just say I had to wear my uniform when I was at school. So past obligation is had to. You can also, so you can use must then in the negative form. So to say something that you can't or shouldn't do, be if you're driving your car, you mustn't break the speed limit, for example. But you can't use have to. So you can't say when you drive your car you don't have to break the speed limit, because this means it's your choice. Whereas so mustn't, you can have must and mustn't, and both things are like you have no choice. Have to, you have no choice. But when we use don't have to, it means it's your choice. So when you're, so, yeah, the example I used, when you're 16, you don't have to go to school in England. When you're 16, you don't have to wear your school uniform at school if you decide to stay at school. It's your choice. Okay. So yeah, so must and mustn't, no choice. Have to, no choice. Don't have to is your choice. Okay. And then I moved on to should, to give advice. So when you want to give advice to people, what you think is a good idea. So again, you're not telling them that they have to do it. You're saying that it's a good idea. You think it's a good idea for you to do it, or for someone else to do it. So I said, if you want to practice your English, you should watch English TV programs, listen to English radio, and read magazines, newspapers, books in English. Or just come to England, if that's what you want to do. Just to give advice. And then you can use should to talk about things in the past that either for yourself is a regret, or somebody else telling you that they think you've done something wrong in the past. So I said, I should have studied harder when I was at school. Oh, thank you. Or so I'm sort of saying, oh, it's like a regret. Oh, I should have studied harder when I was at school. It would have made my life easier, for example. Or if your friends went to a good party at the weekend and you didn't go because you didn't feel like it, you see them on Monday and they say, oh, you should have come to the party, it was really good. And they think that you made a mistake in the past. Okay. I'm running out of steam with my voice. Hold on. Excuse me. It's very croaky. It's the time of year. Everybody has a cold. Everybody in my house has a cold. So any question on those modal verbs? Everyone's very quiet this evening. Don't be shy. Ask me a question about it. There's quite a lot of information there. Again, sorry. I always feel like I give you a lot of information in a short time. So, yes. So that is sort of a brief explanation on how we use each one. But again, it's quite a lot to take on, and they're quite confusing because they have the different uses. Yeah, which makes it a difficult thing to understand the different uses. So often I say to students, look at what they're followed by. So are they followed by, have and the past participle, or are they followed by the bare infinitive? Look at the structure as well, and also look at the context in how they are used and what people are trying to say to help you. which is often quite a useful thing to do in England. Okay, so if no one has any questions about that, as promised, don't know if any of the same people are here, but I've always said that I will try and teach you a couple of phrasal verbs on every session as well, because they are the one thing that confuse my students and they always complain about phrasal verbs. So if you can learn one or two every week, it's a good thing. Okay, so I had one that I was explaining to somebody yesterday. Well, there were two actually. It was because yesterday was a sad day because I had to throw out my favourite pair of winter boots. So to throw something out means means to chuck it in the bin or put it in the bin. In the bin. So it's a phrasal verb and means to put something in the bin. I had to throw out my favourite winter boots because they were worn out, or I had worn them out. So if you wear something out, it means you use it a lot and then it becomes old, tired, broken. So my shoes, I love these boots, and I'd had them repaired I think 4 or 5 times because I didn't want to throw them out because I love them so much. But now they had a hole in the leather and it couldn't be repaired, so they were worn out. I had worn them out and I had to throw them out. So if you use wear your shoes out, for example, it means to use something so much that it now doesn't work, or it is tired, or it is broken. Okay, that's to wear something out. If I talk about myself, I say, oh, I am worn out, or I might say, my daughter wears me out because she's so active and wakes up really early and is very busy all day long. And yes, throw away is the same. Throw something away or throw something out is the same. Exactly. Yeah. Well, we have lots of words to say one thing in England. So yeah, so wear out means use something so much that it either doesn't work anymore. Excuse me. Doesn't work anymore, or is old and tired. So I have nearly worn out my trainers because I like running. So I've been running in my trainers for months and months, and now I've nearly worn them out. And by the end of the day, I am worn out because my daughter is so busy, I get very tired. It is tired, broken, or just doesn't work. Oh. Okay, so to wear something out. So wear out your shoes when they get... Oh, you're welcome. Wear out your shoes. And I could say and then it also means for if someone is worn out. So if I say my daughter wears me out, it means that she makes me exhausted. If I say I am worn out, it means I'm exhausted. Ooh, my phone wants to use a different word. Do you all know exhausted? So exhausted is like very tired. That's the extreme adjective of tired. I'll put that as well, just in case you're not sure. So there you go. There's 2 phrasal verbs in there for you. So I had to throw out my shoes because they were worn out. And as somebody said earlier, I can't remember who it was, throw out and throw away, again, same thing, means to put them in the rubbish and put them in the bin. So yes, and the other one I was explaining to one of my students the other day was, we were on Skype and we were having lesson, and her computer was about to stop, and because the battery had run out. So I don't know if you know run out, which basically means that there was no battery left on the computer. So when something runs out, it means there is nothing left. So I wanted to make a cup of tea earlier, then I realised that I had ran out of milk, so I couldn't have my cup of tea because I like milk in my tea. So if you run out of something, it means there is nothing left. And so because the battery had run out on her computer, she had to plug it in. So run out is none left. For example, I have run out of milk. Or, as probably a lot of you will use this one, the battery has run out on my phone. So you have no battery. Very annoying. Okay, so you have none left. So if your battery has run out on your phone, it means you need to plug your phone in to charge it up. To charge up the battery. These are handy things to know. So plug in means, plug in is when you put the socket in the wall. Plug in your phone to charge it up. Could it be used in this? You mean like with food, when food is expired, you would say, is that what you mean? So you would say if your food, what's the word I'm trying to think of? The use by date on your food has expired. If that's expired, you'd say that your food has gone off or gone bad, past its use by date. Is that what you mean? Or do you mean in a different sense? Trying to think how else you might be thinking. But yeah, if it's talking about food, when you talk about food, if it's past its if it's too old, like milk, if milk has become too old, we'd say the milk has gone off, to go off. Oh, that is what you mean. Okay, so with food, we say go off. So the milk has gone off means it's sour. It's sour or not good to drink. It's rotten. Oh, the meat has gone off. It's rotten. Go off. So yeah, when something goes off, when food goes off, it just means it's not good to eat anymore. It's past its use by date. So you might say the milk has gone off, the meat has gone off, but you could say that the use by date has run out. For example, like the date has, because to say that it's past its use by date. The use by, when they say eat the food by this date, that's the use by date. And you could say it's past its use by date, or the use by date has run out. But if you're saying the food is bad, like it's mouldy or it's rotten, you say it has gone off. So to go off. Okay. Does that make sense? Is that okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So does anyone have any more questions this evening on that? On the modal verbs or the phrasal verbs or anything else that you might want to know? No? Oh, good. That makes sense. Perfect. Thank you. Good. You're welcome. Okay. Well, if no one has any more questions, I'm going to go. And I've got to go now and do some painting downstairs in my house because it needs decorating. So I'm going to go and do that, which is very boring. You're welcome. Okay. Have a lovely evening, everyone. And I will see you next week. Have a good weekend as well. See you later. Bye-bye.